All right, Nick, heading to the bottom of the ninth, which means that the Reds are either, well, not really either tied or winning. It means they're winning because we would have come on in the top of the ninth if they were tied. So here we are. I'm going the presumptuous route that I'm going to need these glasses. No idea if my man's coming into the game or not, but I'm just glad we have a lead, Nick. Nice. I couldn't imagine being a Braves fan right now. You know how pissed you'd be?
Surely Alexis Diaz is coming to the game because they're playing a team that's in a playoff hunt, and David Bell plays these games respectable, Trace.
That's right, he does. And here he comes. So I know we got to get synced up. We'll do that here on the front end of the inning. I don't have a pitch clock to really utilize yet. So
I'm going to pause at 9 on the 1-0.
All right, the 1-0 misses. I am at 13, 12, 11, 10, 9,
Bang.
8, 7. Pitch missed.
Oh, boy.
Good old Alexis Diaz. Folks, can't like the stream enough.
There we go.
Oh, we know, Cowboy.
All right.
All right. 1 out.
1
out. Nice to know. Yeah. Well, Molly, to be fair, it's really me who's behind every game because I do this thing called streaming. Nick has like live on-demand cable packaging. So they actually get his feed to him about half a second behind the real live game action.
But I don't have ESPN right now, so.
Yeah, that is true. They're doing some hard negotiating.
I don't even really care about football, but this is like the one, like this is like starting to get me really over the edge. It's like every other month there's a dispute with someone. There we go.
A little hard hit ball, but you know what? Never hurt anybody if it was right at somebody. You know what I'm saying, chat?
Know what I'm saying?
Come on. You can hit as hard as you want, as long as you hit it at him. All right. Come on, Diaz. I really appreciate Sade trying to build the moment here, but I need him to calm down.
Pretty big swing in the NL wildcard race right now. The Mets up 1-0 over the Blue Jays, but the Blue Jays got 2 runners on in the 7th. Only 1 out.
Marcell Ozuna is just late on fastballs right now, which is kind of wild.
I feel like he does this a lot, and then he catches up. It goes a long way.
Yeah. Maybe it's time to pull out the sliders, what you're saying.
Yeah. I don't know if I'd keep banking on that.
He's there. Look at that, Nick.
Get those brooms out, Trace. Get those brooms out.
Oh, man, I'll tell you what. I ain't never seen something so funny in my life. Folks in Atlanta are pissed, but I got news for them. Sorry about it.
Johnny Bench has tied it up. The Cincinnati Reds win the World Series in 4 straight. It was a sweep.
In the dirt, it's a wild pitch. Here comes Morton. The Reds win the pennant.
Larkins won the game.
That ball is fair. Cincinnati's ahead. 2 games to none.
Welcome Joe Randa to Cincinnati. Adam Dunn has done it again. Benzinger backing and calling. And the 1990 World Championship belongs to the Cincinnati Reds.
Marty, yes. This is Adam from Milwaukee. Hey, Adam, how you doing? I'm good. How are you? Good. Do you think Scott Chatterbox is a good player?
Dunn up there with the bases loaded, the outfield deep and around toward right, and the 1-0 on the way to the plate. Swung on, long drive, right field, and this one belongs to the Reds.
And a high drive. Hit back into deep right field. Junior has just knocked the door down to the 500 club.
Benson's first home run is a walk-off winner. That ball had a family.
And De La Cruz is, oh my goodness, look at this kid run. My, oh my, that is a triple.
Matt McClain's first big league bomb.
Spencer Steer's first big league hit is a home run to straightaway center field. Joey Votto's done it again.
The pitch. Votto swings high in the air. Right field. Yes! He pointed to the dugout to say, I told you. That is Joey Votto's 315th career go-ahead ribby. Only Johnny Bench had more as a Red.
And I can't tell you how much it means to play in front of everyone here in Cincinnati as a Red. What a gift. What a tremendous gift. So thank you. Thank you.
I think I can speak for all of Reds country. Joey Votto, thank you.
High drive. Left center field. Racing back to the line. Bourgeois. The Reds are National League Central Division champions. In the air, left center field. Did he? He did. He did. Reds win. Win. Line to the right field. Junior, the first Red ever. With 4 home runs in a game. Can you believe it? In the air, down the right field line. Doesn't have a chance. The Reds have won on a 3-run home run on opening day by Ramon Hernandez. A strike away and out away is Homer Bailey. Ground ball to third. Frazier gloves. Throw to first, and Homer Bailey, for the second time in his major league career, has tossed a no-hitter. Oh, gosh. Oh, are you kidding me? Holy Moses, the second player in major league history to hit 7 home runs in the first 10 games. In the air, and the Reds win. What a dream beginning to the career of Jay Bruce.
All right, a pitcher's duel. A pitcher's duel went our way, Nick. 1-0, as they're saying in the chat. Shout out to Michael Ackley. Must be a big soccer guy. And listen, I can tell you right now, there's some folks in Atlanta that are Braves fans that you just got to be incredibly frustrated. You have a team that has no business really hanging with you or finding a way to scratch out a 1-run victory against you. I mean, look how bad we are in 1-run games, and found a way to win today. You know, David Bell pushed all the right buttons, I guess, pulled all the right strings. So it was kind of a boring game, though, Nick, if I'm being honest. It was a little bit boring. I like action, and it's like Nick Martinez, I'm glad he made it boring. He's probably, of all the things to talk about, Ty France is incredible too, but he's probably the most realistic thing we can have an honest conversation about today. I'd say.
Yeah, I would agree. I mean, I think he's a fascinating topic going into this offseason. How far should you go to retain his services? I think everyone likes him. The question is, how valuable is he, and how well does he fit with what you need to do to upgrade this team in the offseason? But yeah, what an incredible year. What an incredible signing. There's been some swing and misses, been a lot of swing and misses we've talked about. But this one was anything but a swing and miss. One of the better free agent signings that the Reds have made.
It was really I say this jokingly, but I think it's very true. It's the one move that kind of saved Nick Kral's tail in a way. I mean, if he doesn't go out and get Nick Martinez, this offseason was, for all intents and purposes, a disaster. But Nick Martinez has been so good that now you start to say, well, I mean, it wasn't too terrible. Emilio Pagan clearly is a guy that has been up and down, but he's been hurt, and Candelario has been the biggest disappointment that you could possibly have when you signed him. I don't know if it could have gone much worse than it did, is what I'm getting at. But listen, 1-0 kind of paints a story in and of itself. You don't really need to watch many 1-0 baseball games to try to figure out how it went. But I'll let you tell them if they're wondering what exactly happened. What was all the excitement? It was 1-0. Tell us about it, Nick.
All right, Reds taking on the Atlanta Braves, a makeup game from July 23rd. Reds looking to finish off a sweep 6 weeks in the making. Nick Martinez against Charlie Morton, the 40-year-old hurler for the Braves. In the top of the second, TJ Friedl led off with a hit by pitch, and then Ty France doubled him home to put the Reds up 1-0. And that would be the only run the Reds would get off of Charlie Morton over 6 2/3 innings, despite putting 9 runners on base against him. But on this side, Nick Martinez was brilliant. He threw 7 shutout innings. He only allowed 3 base runners. At one point, Martinez retired 17 batters in a row. Reds offense could not get anything going. Did get several runners in the scoring position late, but could not get them across. But didn't matter because Fernando Cruz threw a perfect 8th inning with 2 strikeouts. Then Alexis Diaz, a perfect 9th. Alexis Diaz now 27 for 31 in save chances this season. Reds sweep the Braves. Reds now 70-75 on the season, and Reds are now 6-2 in September.
Oh, the sweep, man. Deep drive of the day. Well, Ty France. His was a deep drive. Big drive. Knocked in a run. Gave the Reds a 1-0 victory, and we all jump for joy, and we sing Kumbaya. But DSC, they are a leader in renewable commodities specializing in biofuel production, used cooking oil collection, aggregation, and sales. Visit www.deepsouthcommodities.com for more information. Thank you to DSC. Hey, at least their logo is right there on the middle of the screen. That's that's nice. I'm glad that we can provide that. Sweep. You have sweep on here. It's just making me giggle. I don't know. You just Nick being stupid and funny.
I got to use it twice. Remember I used it after the abbreviated 2-game sweep because the rainout was the middle game of the series, and now I get to use it a second time. So
yeah.
Hey man, you got to use these anytime you can, Trace.
No, yeah, they're hard to come by, and we've certainly honestly they actually probably, if I had to guess, the Reds this year have swept probably just as the same amount of teams as most other teams have that are relatively in playoff chases. It's just that the Reds have then followed the sweeps by getting swept and or losing 5 of 6, or going in the month of May, whatever it was, 4-16.
The Reds have swept the American League West leading Astros,
yes,
the American League East leading Yankees,
yes,
the NL West leading Dodgers,
nice,
and the Atlanta Braves, who currently hold a playoff spot, and then they won the season series against the NL East leading Philadelphia Phillies. What a year!
Yeah. I mean, we just really what we need to have happen is we play to our competition. So if we could get into the playoffs, we could possibly win the World Series. It's just the problem is when we play the mediocre teams, because we've beaten the bad teams. It's the mediocre teams that we've really had some trouble with, you know? So,
yeah.
Can't make sense of it. What you can make sense of, Nick, is Nick Martinez. Really a interesting year for him because I had mentioned there, I think during the offseason and leading into opening day, that I thought Nick Martinez 100% was signed by this front office as a long reliever, middle reliever, maybe even using leverage situations or high leverage situations that happen to showcase themselves in the 4th through the 7th inning. And I thought that was really going to be Nick Martinez's role, and that's what they wanted him to be. They dangled the carrot, if you want to call it that, in front of him and saying that he could be a starter. And I think any pitcher, if given the option, they would prefer to be a starter. It's probably a much more enjoyable life, let's be honest. You get to pitch every 5 days. You know when you're going to pitch. When you're a reliever, you get stuck out there in the bullpen. You got to sit through every single game as if you might come in at any given moment for the most part. I know you have some days where you can't go, but it's just not as glorious of a life. And I think Nick Martinez was excited that he was going to given that opportunity. It just didn't happen. And then he kind of got that opportunity by happen chance just because of, for all intents and reality, that guys got hurt, and it didn't go well, Nick. I mean, I don't want to say it didn't go terrible, but it didn't go well. He didn't throw the ball great as a starter. Then he goes back to the pen, gets back on track where he's just throwing the ball incredibly well out of the bullpen. And I kind of got to a point, Nick, where I openly said, let's just keep him in the pen. I don't know what it is, but maybe it's a coincidence. I just don't want to find out. He's been so good out of the bullpen. Let's keep him there. And now he's making the case where he's just a really good pitcher. And I think that's where it's at. I don't know what else to make of it. His versatility should be something desired. And I've said it once, I'll say it one more time. I don't know how for the life of me you could be a general manager or a baseball executive at the trade deadline and not give the Reds whatever they were asking for, because it couldn't have been that much. It couldn't have been something if you're one of these teams that you're trying to make an impact and you want to win a World Series, Nick Martinez is quite literally maybe the best option that you could have gotten at the deadline for any pitching role that you might need. I don't care if you want him as a setup man. I don't care if you want him as a long reliever. And at this point, if you want him as a 4th or 5th starter, he checks all the boxes. And now it's a big question of what do we do with him, Nick?
Yeah, I mean, just tonight, how about this? 24 batters faced, 23 first pitch strikes. I mean, that's just, it's incredible. I love Nick Martinez. I love his competitive fire and how intense he is. And I think he's a leader too. And again, leadership and all that's can certainly be overblown and over exaggerated, but I think he's a leader. And man, I love to see the Reds bring him back. I think that he's got to be getting close to the qualifying offer range. He's got to be at this point. So to break it down, he has a $12 million option this offseason, a player option. I think at this point, you have to think he's going to decline that. An MLB qualifying offer last year was 20-point-something million. It's going to probably go up a little bit. I don't know. I mean, is it worth – what are we talking here? Is it – I mean, if you sign Nick Martinez in the open market, he's probably, a 2-year, $30 million guy maybe at this point? For me, I'd rather pay the extra $5 million, only have 1 year. I think Martinez probably has to accept the qualifying offer because, unfortunately for him, once you get the qualifying offer attached to you, it makes you harder to be signed because the team has to lose a draft pick for you. And then if some team if he doesn't want to accept the qualifying offer, then all right, well, so what? Yeah. Reds are going to get a draft pick out of it. Again, and not to go too far down this rabbit hole, but I tweet out about, tonight wanting to sign that thinking, Nick Martinez offer him a qualifying offer. I think it might make sense. And I see people go, he's going to leave just like Nick Castellanos. And I continue to look back on that and I go, the Nick Castellanos thing worked out perfectly for the Reds. It could not have worked out more perfectly. You sign this guy You get 2 great years out of him, valuable years for what you're paying for him. He decides he wants to leave. You get a qualifying offer. You get Sal Stewart, who's now a top 6-5 prospect for the Reds. I mean, that's a really quality player. And he goes and he's not really worth the contract. The Phillies would have to pay to get rid of Nick Castellanos right now. So, like, again, this is good stuff. If he declines the offer, well, you're going to get a good player out of it that's going to help your system down the road. So, I don't know. I think I'm in the camp that I think the Reds should offer him a qualifying offer. We'll see how he finishes this year. Maybe he goes off the rails and it's a little more gray, but I don't know. Right now, on September 9th, I would offer him a qualifying offer.
Well, you've always been an advocate and a fan of short contracts, bigger AAV. I'm not disagreeing with that. At this point, for me, it just comes down to they have to. You're going to be like, how the hell we get on this subject? And I don't want to stay on this subject, so I'm not trying to divert it from Nick Martinez. But I really think that the whole puzzle has to start with Elly. And I don't want to make everything about Elly, but I really do think that. Like, you got to come into a meeting with Rosenhaus and Elly and have a serious conversation about, is this realistic or not? Because we need to know if we have a chance here. And if we have a chance, let's figure out what that is, because we need to build after that. But if it's no chance and we have no chance at all, Nick, then I think at that point your strategy has to be, let's go out and fight short-term deals to build around Elly and basically utilize some of that money that you might have used to extend him. Now, I'm advocating, and I'm not advocating that they go out and spend a bunch of money around Elly just because they're only going to have him for a short amount of time, and that's the right move. The right move is to figure out a way to keep Elly long term. Barring injury, he's a superstar. But we kind of need to know that piece is where I'm at with this whole thing, because I would just prefer to do some semblance of a 2 to 3 year deal at a time for guys that are maybe at their prime or a little bit past their prime, but I know that they're a major league player. I need some stability on this roster. Nick Martinez seems to me like the most stable thing that you could get, and I know that there's a chance that maybe something happens and he doesn't. But again, that's all these guys. That's all of these guys for the most part. We could have gotten Ronald Acuna Jr. in the offseason. Somehow the Braves decided they wanted to trade him here. Does it mean that it was a bad decision if he gets hurt this year? No, obviously not. But point is, we got to start getting some more big league talent on this team, and it's got to happen fast. Nick Martinez is that. And if they make a qualifying offer and he leaves, Nick, like you said, then at that point it is what it is. You can't hang your head about it. The only thing that would disappoint me is if he turns it down, they don't make a qualifying offer, and then he signs somewhere for $17 million or something on a 1-year deal, or something like that. It's like, really? We're gonna try to save what, $6, $7, $8 million when we can, spend $2 or $3 million. How much did we waste on Mike Ford? The money's there in short interim spurts.
I'd rather have Nick Martinez on a 1-year, $20 million year than a 2-year, $30 million deal. I'd rather pay the extra $5 million to only have 1 year, because he is going to be 34 next year, and that is getting up there in age. So I don't think I really genuinely do not think you can overpay on 1-year contracts. I think there's very few contracts that I would ever be upset with on a 1-year deal. I think those are the contracts you overpay on. The contracts that get you in trouble are the 4-year Mike Moustakas contracts. Those are the ones that get you in trouble. Yeah. Like Frankie Montas wasn't that bad. Like, honestly, right. I think he probably was worth about what he was. But that's a 1-year deal. It is what it is. You wash your hands. Yeah. You can go do the same thing next year. It doesn't hurt you long term. So, yeah, I'm all about that. I just think it makes too much sense for the Reds at this point. And if it's a couple extra $1 million, so be it.
Yeah, I mean, listen, let's be honest. Homer Bailey's contract, I know people are going to get mad at me for saying this, but even Griffey's contract to a certain extent just never yielded anything. So, these long-term contracts are a little scary. And I'm not going to sit here and act like I'm not a little concerned that you give Elly $1 bazillion. I mean, I am. It's a risk. But it almost feels like it's more of the marketing side of my brain tells me that he's worth so much from a business side of things that the production side of things should be like, if he stays healthy, you win, period. All right, jumping into the back half here, we have the Game Time as usual. I used the Game Time app today, Nick. I don't know if you know that, but I used it today. I 100%. In fact, people think, Trace is lying, this, that, and the next. He's just saying that because he's sponsored by these guys. Oh, really? Really? Nick, please do me a favor. I don't know if you can read. Whoa. Hold on. I'm going to do my best to get this. Oh, what's that say? Oh,
let's go.
Let's go. Hello from Game Time. Your Lake County captains wrong. It's the Dayton Dragons game, but who's counting? Anyway, it's the Lake County captains at the Dayton Dragons. I'm looking forward to that tomorrow. I think I'm because of Game Time, I got them for $20, I think. Now I know some people are like, I know some people are like, oh my gosh, a minor league game, $20. Nick, I'm not kidding you. I think I'm 4 rows behind the Dragons dugout. So I'm all in. I'm going to be there like I've had season tickets all season long. So
can't wait. Happy playoff eve. I meant to mention that at the top of the show, but this was an exciting ball game. Kind of got me forgetting about what's really important in life, and that is our Dragons and our Tortugas tomorrow.
That's right. And the other thing too, I want for folks to understand is I'll go there to it right now. You can use the code CINCY, CINCY. You get $20 off your first purchase. Look at this. It's like right here. Hold on. Look at these prices, folks. I mean, you can get in there. $12 you can get in the door. $22 you're sitting in the infield. $18 you're sitting in the infield. I don't know what more do you want? I mean, download the Game Time app today. Use the code CINCY, CINCY. You get $20 off your first purchase. Terms do apply. But shout out to Game Time, and thanks for their app that allows me to get into Dragon Stadium tomorrow. Otherwise, what do you do? I mean, I guess you got to go and you got to try to scalp tickets because it's sold out. So, kind of is what it is. But 988, as usual, text, call if you need it. Nights like tonight doesn't seem like it's maybe as relevant, but it's always relevant. You may still be having a tough time, and if that's the case, that is A-OK. Life is better with you in it. Mantherapy.org as well. Please visit and use all the resources as possible whenever you may need help. Again, text or call 988. We very much appreciate them supporting us and this show. All right, back to the same old duo. I know I don't really like getting on you too much, Nick, but I got to be honest. I'm going to get on you a little bit. I thought you were a little too hard on Fernando Cruz at times this year. You even suggested that Zuleta might be able to come up and do the same thing. I mean, what a bonkers take that was. But you know what? We'll let it slide. I won't even mention it. I won't even bring it up. I won't tell everybody that I remember that. I'll just act like it just went out one door and through the other, whatever the hell that saying is. Kind of reminds me a little bit of the Spencer Steer, Myers situation. But, who's counting? Will Myers, I don't know. He never even played for the Reds, I don't think. But anyways, Cruz does his job. His splitter almost looked like it was a cutter. I don't know. They kept saying during the broadcast, that's a splitter. His splitter's going sideways. I don't know how a splitter goes sideways like it was. There was a couple pitches where it looked like a cutter. Now, again, I wasn't on Savant. I don't know if maybe they have better intel than Bally, but he looked good. And he was locating his pitches. And Diaz, at this point, has had an unbelievable season. He really has. And what I tell you I was going to do this is another night that it was stress-free. Easy peasy.
Yeah, I mean, Diaz is just his walks have been significantly down the last 6 weeks or so. Looking like the guy that you expect, and again, his overall body of work when you've needed him this year is as good as anyone in baseball. Fernando Cruz, I mean, that's 3 out of 4 really solid outings from him. The last time out was really rough in New York, but the 3 times before, all 3 really good outings. 3 of those were as an opener. One of those he went 3 innings. So yeah, he's looking much better. He's kind of gotten a little more rest. The Reds have not used Cruz in back-to-back games since mid-July. July 13th, 14th is the last time they used him in back-to-back games. So, I mean, I honestly think that was the biggest problem, was just his overall. Part of the problem. I think part of it was twofold. Hitters starting to adjust. Well, maybe threefold. He's also just flat out missed on this location a couple times. That's bit him. And then I think he also was exhausted. I think the combination of those three, probably the exhaustion, probably led a lot to those pitches ending up right down the middle of the plate. But yeah, I mean, the Reds were using him way too much earlier in the year. And if there's one criticism to hang on David Bell this year, I think the way he used Fernando Cruz is right up there. I don't think he did right by Fernando Cruz earlier this year.
Yeah, well, I also think some of that has to do with the fact that they were still playing meaningful games. And David Bell, when you have a tough May like they did, I think that kind of, let's face it, the Reds were fighting an uphill battle as soon as May happened. So you kind of get in a spot where Bell trusted him, and he's a competitor. And you know what? Fernando Cruz is very similar to Martinez, in the sense that they both compete their tails off, and they're hard not to like. I think that, they're good teammates, and they're everything that you would want to be on your baseball team. So I look forward to Cruz and see what's next with him. But, for the most part, he's been as solid as you can be. And as far as the three things you mentioned where he might have struggled in, I would also just add, as an umbrella statement, I mean, he was due to regress a little bit anyways. Like he's not a guy that we could, come to expect to be all-star caliber and or, career best all year long. He was going to have a small rough patch at some point, and he happened to have it, there towards, what we would call in the middle of the summer, and now in the fall here as we start to change the leaves colors. Maybe Fernando Cruz will throw his best the rest of the season, and I hope he does, because I think he deserves another opportunity to not have to stress in spring training to make a team. We'll see if that happens. It's never a guarantee, but off seasons are long. Reds offense, you have it on the rundown. There was not a ton of it. Ty France continues. Ty France also made a really good play at first base. Ty France continues to find ways to help this team win games, and you go back to the statement you made before. You'd like to see Rhys Hines, you'd like to see Will Benson, you'd like to see Marte, but Ty France has secured a spot to be able to continue to play every single day for this team because, as you mentioned, David Bell has some semblance of a responsibility to play players that deserve to play, and Ty France is at the top of the list. Now, the rest of it, at this point, I don't know if you have open opinions about what they're going to do for some of these young guys, but we're kind of getting to the point now where you're starting to scratch your head on what do you do?
I mean, I think they started AAA, and you work on your replacement.
You're just going to continue to hit Rosario? Like, I'm just saying, like, that's what we're going to do? And that's fine if the answer is yes.
I'm sorry. I thought you meant 2025.
No, I'm just saying, like, what do you do with these guys? Because they deserve some at-bats somewhere, but at the same time, maybe they don't. Like, Will Benson, he's not going to burn an option on. Maybe you can convince me of that. But, like, Rhys Hines, I'm openly saying I don't care enough to get mad about it, but I also don't know what the plan is. I really don't.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see. I mean, St. Louis is pretty much out of the race at this point. I mean, they're like 6 back or something like that. Minnesota, though, the next team's right in the race. Then Atlanta, they're right in the race. Then Pittsburgh, Cleveland's right in the race. Cubs will probably be out of the race. So I'm guessing, my guess is you'll see Benson and Marte a lot more in those series as the teams that are out of the race. And you'll see more of Rosario. Now, if India goes on the IL, that's going to open up some spots there. It sounds like that's a possibility that he ends up going on the IL. So, yeah, I mean, I think that's probably what they do. I mean, Amed Rosario, he continues to play well. He hit 2 hits, 2 hard hit balls. Espinal had nothing. Espinal and Steer had nothing to show for it, but they both had 2 hard hit balls. Steer actually had 2 balls hit over 106 miles per hour tonight. So, both off Morton, both off a right-handed pitcher. So that was good to see from him. But yeah, I mean, overall, I don't know. The Reds' offense was fine tonight. They had a lot of runners on base today, but I don't know, just couldn't get him across, and just kind of goes with a lineup that just doesn't have a lot of thump in it right now. A lot of decent players.
When do we get concerned about TJ Friedl?
I don't know. Another 0 for 3 night. I mean,
well, it's not just that.
Average,
but his
680 OPS.
His on base percentage is 300, Nick. His slugging is 380.
Well,
I mean, I know he's been hurt, and I get all that, but
I mean, again, TJ Friedl could be a number 9 hitter and be fine. So again, he plays center field, plays it at a premium defense. So if the rest of your pieces around TJ Friedl are good, that's TJ Friedl's like value to this team matters almost as much, in my opinion, as like what CES does next year and what Matt McLain does next year. Because if those guys are what you expect that those guys can be, and you add that big free agent left fielder that we've talked about and hope the Reds do, or right fielder, doesn't really matter, then I think Friedel's fine. If he hits at the level that we saw last year, that's gravy almost. If he doesn't, he's your number 9 hitter, and I think you're going to at least get a average player. Probably, I think TJ Friedel's floor is still probably slightly above average, but my concern is more, okay, is TJ Friedl an all-star or is he an average player? That's what I don't know the answer to. I think it's somewhere in between those two, though. I don't think he's, a below average player by any means.
I'm not sold on him totally yet. I'll be honest. I hope that I'm wrong in regards to the fact that that's not true. He's going to be a great player, but I've seen I've seen enough clearly, but I've also seen enough of Matt McLain, and I think I've just been snake bitten a little bit from this year and how things have gone to where now it's like I just I need to have more than one good year in the big leagues before I start to just rely on guys. And I know that Elly is going to be a guy that people are going to point to and say, well, why do you believe in Elly? He's only really had one good year in the big leagues. Well, I don't know. I feel like that's a little bit of an outlier, but that's a fair point. So maybe I should pump the brakes a little bit on that as well. But at some point, you gotta have some foundation. You can't keep hoping that everybody that's on your team is questionable is actually going to have a good year. We'll find out. Who knows? But all right, jumping into playoff baseball. Obviously, I'm going to go tomorrow, Nick. I'm looking forward to that. I'm not going to lie. I haven't really seen a ton of these guys in person. It's going to be hopefully a lively atmosphere, and the fact that the number 1 overall pick in the entire MLB draft just so happens to be playing for the other team, that's not all of a bad thing either.
Yeah, it should be a fun game. Game 1, 7:05 Tuesday night. If you're listening to podcast, that is tonight. And then game 2 will be back in the Cleveland area in Eastlake, Ohio, 6:35. Game 2, if you are not a MILB TV subscriber, there's also several ways to get that. If you just subscribe to the MLB At Bat, you may not even know this, but you get MILB TV for free. But the game 2 is the MILB free game of the day. So Thursday night, 6:35. Doesn't matter if you have it. You can watch that game for free. The At Bat app is $3.99 a month, so it's not really a big commitment. But the MLB At Bat, that's what you do just to get like the audio. That'll also get you video for the MILB games. But yeah, that's Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, if necessary. 2 teams very evenly matched over the course of the year. Dayton 74-58, Lake County 77-53. The Tortugas also tomorrow on Tuesday night. They start theirs. They'll be a little earlier, 6:35. They have game 1 in Daytona. Same thing. Game 2 is Thursday. Game 3, if necessary, on Friday. Much tougher matchup for Daytona, at least record-wise. Daytona, they are 64-64 up against Palm Beach, who is 83-47. That is the Cardinals affiliate. So tough matchup for Daytona, but Daytona's got a lot of really fun players. Sammy Stafora, Peyton Stovall, recent draft pick. Adam Serwinowski, I would imagine, probably going to pitch for them in the series. A really talented left-handed pitcher. So, yeah, excited about it. We'll talk about it. Have you told you this, Trace? Bryce Spalding will be joining me and Craig at some point on Tuesday night to kind of talk about the minor league games and give his thoughts on the 2 playoff games. So we'll cover a little bit of the Reds, a lot of bit of the Tortugas and the Dragons tomorrow night.
Fair and fun. Hopefully they can find a way to win. So makes the show a little more entertaining, a little more fun, a little more positive vibes. Speaking of which, we do have Major League Baseball tomorrow. Got a lot of Major League Baseball here in the next week. But, as usual, we'll do the who, what, when, where, and why before we head off to the sunset, as they say.
Yeah, it'll be a Rhett Lauder start number 3. First 2 have gone pretty well. Get a chance against the Cardinals, a team like it's probably out of the race, kind of hanging on by a thread. I think they're 6.5 back at the moment. Reds will be going up against Andre Palante, a guy who has had the Reds number 5-0 with a 1.31 career ERA and 34 1/3 against the Reds this year. 2-0, a 0 ERA against the Reds. So hopefully the Andre Palante domination ends tomorrow. Palante did give up 5 runs in his last start, walked 5 batters in Milwaukee. Prior to that, he was pitching very well, a 2.13 ERA in the 4 starts prior to his last one. Palante relies on 4 pitches, a 4-seamer, sinker, slider, and a knuckle curve. Fastball and sinker both average 95 miles per hour. Palante, kind of a guy that's fighting for a rotation spot for the Cardinals next year, so he's certainly got a lot still to pitch for. And, Reds, though, Trace, trying to finish off a winning season against the Cardinals, not something that's happened very often. The only time the Reds have won the season series against the Cardinals since 2011 was in 2021. Reds are currently 6-4 against the Cardinals in 2024.
Who would have thought? I mean, of all the years, who would have thought? This is the one. All right, Nick, we'll do the traditional things as usual, just say because we do them. And from there, we will send everybody home packing. Enjoy your night. Nice. There you go. I love how the effort has intensified with that. It's just gotten better and better as we move along. All right, folks. I will be at the game tomorrow. If you're at the game and you see me, don't be afraid to say hi. I know sometimes I might look like I'm busy or whatever it may be from time to time, but I'm always happy to meet folks and say hi if you run across me. So don't be a stranger. And I would just say too, if you've got nothing going on and you're in the tri-state area, then download the Game Time app and just check it out tomorrow. And tickets might continue to fall, and prices may continue to fall. And if they do, it's a lot of good players. I'd be hard pressed to believe that you could go to that game and not watch at least 3 big leaguers at some point in their career. So, I don't know. It's also a good ballpark. And yes, my basement is a complete disaster because, you have kids. And sometimes when you have kids, they just drag things out. And you know what? At this point, I think that I'm just going to live with that. But there was a thing that I had heard yesterday. I know I'm looking for the outro here. There it goes. But there was a thing I heard yesterday that I thought was really, really cool. And it was Killabrew's Hall of Fame speech, and he remembered he was outside playing in the yard, and his mom was complaining about that they were killing his grass, and he remembers his dad telling what it was his wife and Killabrew's mom that they weren't raising grass, they were raising kids. So I do appreciate everybody from time to time giving me grief about the drywall, but you know what? When you got 2 boys that do nothing but wrestle half the time, sometimes you got to play it safe and just wait till the season's all the way over before you fix the drywall, and then they just bust it again, because that's just one way to stay out of jail, is to make sure that you don't hurt your kids because they do something they're not supposed to do more than once. But here I am in a basement full of junk. But this is for Alexis Diaz. This is no joke either. I'm going to go for it. It could be disastrous. It could result into another hole in the wall. It could also be glorious. But I'm going for glory this time of the year. There's only one way to go, and it's for glory. This is pretty dangerous. Don't try this at home. No idea if it went in. Athlete